I had first started experiencing a pain that can be best described as a sharp stabbing pain back in 2009. It was intermittent. It would only happen a couple times a day, and it was like a knife stabbing. It would be there, but then it would be gone a second later. In April of 2010, I had gone in for a follow-up for a hand injury, and at this point, there had been a constant pain added to the stabbing pain I was experiencing, and I asked if they could do a scan of my leg while they were scanning my hand. They had taken a scan, and it revealed that there was a tumor growing in my femur, my right femur. Went through many follow-ups and everything to ensure that it was benign, and it was tested and everything. Found out that this tumor was secreting a pain hormone known as adrenocorticotropic hormone, which I guarantee I'm not saying correctly. At that day at time, my doctor had given me the options, which he put in a very Seussical way, and it was live with the tumor, live with the pain, lose the tumor, live with the cane. Back in November of 2012, the week of Thanksgiving actually, my apartment had been broken into. Amongst the things that were stolen, I mean, my own personal laptop, which had my entire work history on it, a Xbox belonging to my girlfriend, a bunch of other things that I can't even remember at this time. They also stole my prescription Percocet, which had just been refilled a day or two beforehand. So I had, I had called the police. They came over, did all the reporting and everything. I then went to my doctor to let her know and to receive a replacement refill. She explained very kindly but bluntly that, I'm sorry, it says in your contract that if you lose or your meds are stolen, we will not refill them. I was rather upset. It was less that she was refusing to refill them, but more that she wasn't willing to understand my situation. I'm not someone with a police record. I'm not someone who has any signs of abuse. I've never failed any of my screenings. I'm someone with a decent job that they love, doesn't really make a lot of money, but is happy with their life, who follows the rules, and had something bad happen to them, and she was not willing to help me. So at that point, I was forced to go cold turkey and withdrawal for the next 28 days until my next prescription would have been refilled. It was one of the worst experiences physically I've ever had to go through. It was like being hit with the worst cold of your life. It was like being hit with the flu, but you know that it's going to be coming. I won't get into all the graphic details, but I felt horrible. At the same time, I knew that I live in Worcester. This could be solved at any time by going out to any one of a dozen street corners, trying to find someone, get this somewhere else. But never once in my head was that a viable option, because that's not who I was. I wasn't going to give them a reason to say he's a bad person. I've never broken my pain contract to this day, and nor will I ever. My body was physiologically addicted to this substance. My body had grown accustomed to it being in my system. I was not mentally addicted. At no point did I view it as acceptable or okay to go and obtain these substances elsewhere. During the span while I was withdrawing, I think it was on the 4th or 5th day actually, when things were the worst, I had actually filed a medical complaint with the Massachusetts Medical Board about this doctor, simply because she was unwilling to do anything to help ease this suffering. It was suffering. I don't use that word lightly, but it was suffering. A few months after she had been seeing me again, she got the notice that I had filed the complaint. That's when she had brought me in to speak with me, saying, I'm not comfortable having a patient who has filed a complaint against me. I would like for you to find a new doctor. She said that she wasn't kicking me out. She would give me plenty of time to find a new physician. That's when I went on my search again to find a new doctor. I had to be realistic. I knew how difficult it had been for me to find her in the first place. I knew that I'd been looking for the last several months to find someone new, and I couldn't. So I knew that my only options were, 1, go to an emergency room every time I need a refill and hope that there's someone willing enough to care, but at the same time, I have to pay that emergency room copay. Or I would have to bring myself off the drug myself. So I took that last refill, and I gradually teetered myself off of it. I would start by cutting pills in half, then in quarters, taking them less frequently, to a point where the withdrawal effects weren't existent. I did it over the course of, I believe, 25 days, and it wasn't bad. I was able to come off gradually, and it was fine. The pain grew day by day, and the pain now is still something that's very difficult to live with, and it's worse than I ever remember it being. But I'm able to live without them somehow. I understand why the system needs to be in place. I understand that things need to be more strict than lenient. My good friend and mentor once said to me, it's always easier to loosen up on the reins than pull back on them. So I understand why all the rules must be in place. At the same time, I believe that it is a doctor's responsibility to evaluate what is best for their individual patient and loosen up on those reins when necessary.